for season 1, episode 7, Kyle. So we are a couple minutes early today. And in the moment, if you could do me a favor and just double check on the YouTube side, make sure it looks okay on our channel for me. And then I will go and we're going to do something extra special today. We're going to try to go live multi streaming on Facebook, Twitch, and YouTube, and possibly Twitter. Okay? So we're having fun. We're doing an experiment, and I'm actually really excited about this one. So over to you, Kyle, while I play just a little bit.
Fantastic. So, good morning, everybody, or afternoon, or evening, depending on where you're tuning in from. And welcome to This is approaching your digital potential. I am your my co-host Kent Langley. We get together on a weekly basis to explore this giant leap that the world is making towards digitizing itself. We have been on a really fantastic trajectory, obviously, as the world has started to shape itself with new exponential and amazing different types of technologies. That is the sound of the alarm saying we're going live. And and now, of course, with the forcing function of COVID-19, we have experienced so many more human beings jumping online, needing to figure out their role and technology's role in their lives. So what we have done over the last several weeks is create this program specifically for you and others, whether you are just experiencing digitization of yourself and your business for the first time. This will be about tools, methodologies, tricks, tips for myself and Ken to have been at this for some time. For those of you that are intermediates or advanced, everybody's able to take themselves to the very next level. And the very next level, of course, is how do you create even more value for yourself all over the world? And I think what Kent is doing right now is showing us that for the first time, Digitized Live is streaming to multiple
This is
platforms where it's just been
Periscope.
exclusively YouTube. We're now currently on Periscope, on Twitch, I believe on
That's right.
Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube.
We
So
are.
welcome everybody, for everybody that's watching. And Kent, want to say something to the amazing audience?
Oh, I do. I think today's live show is going to be interesting. So, man, we just had the biggest event. I should have made a bunch of little screenshots of all the comments and things people are making, but Digitized Live co-produced with OpenEXO something called EXO World Summit last week. This is why we didn't make any shows last week, because it was insane. And but gosh, it was huge. I can't even tell you how much excitement and wonderful feedback for OpenEXO that we've been able to help them produce. The audience, their community is growing. The engagement is huge. The number of opportunities are coming down line. Why? Because they went digital. Historically, OpenEXO ran physical events. This was their first global digital event. We had people from dozens, if not over 100 countries. We had every language. We ran just probably shy of 200 live sessions, the majority of which were user generated during the show. We had 130 speakers, and we ran the thing like a festival for 3 days, which was insane. We've already got plans in place to do it again later this year and run many versions of the event. And we have dozens of inbound requests to run regional versions of EXO World to help people transform in their local regions, because that is all about driving action on a regional basis for transformation in the face of the forcing function that is COVID-19 and how it's transformed our society. It really doesn't get any better than that when you're trying to help people digitize. So this is the work we did to help them, Kyle, and I've barely had time to debrief with you on it, but wow, right? I mean, so that's exciting. The fact that we're currently streaming on 4 different live distribution channels as we record this show. You know the challenges that I've had in the last 5 weeks ramping up all this new technology. We're literally using every stitch of it right this second for the first time on Digitized Live, the YouTube show. Well, it's not a YouTube show anymore, the show. and so I'm pretty excited about all that. I mean, it's kind of crazy. when you think about it. The only thing I didn't get to work today was wireless wireless headphones, so I have my scuba gear on. Back
That's
over to
fantastic.
yeah.
This has been such a monumental shift. If you think about from where we started with this show to what was accomplished last week and what's actually started to unfold this week. So, because what's happened, of course, with the 3,000 plus people that came to that global event, inside of those, a lot of those human beings that attended represent large organizations, they represent NGOs, nonprofits, they represent cutting edge technology companies who are trying to make really significant impact. That was one of the main draws for the EXO World event, is that if you're trying to make a change and a significant change in the world, then this is the event for you, because this wasn't just talking about the problems of a COVID-19. This was talking about how can we actually go and create the future we want to live into? How can we actually unlock and tap into the potential that is available to us from a creativity perspective as well? So the thought leaders, the idea generators, the people on the edge, the people pushing, creating something new, disrupting status quo, really intentionally living entrepreneurship. Those were the types of minds that were inside of this event looking to push the boundaries. And what was beautiful for us as well is that our own inbound for Digitized, because of the success of the production of the show, but also the experience of the show. Because remember, Digitized is about unlocking your digital potential, and it's about creating premium digital experiences and being able to broadcast those to as many people as possible, which is living into Kent and Mai's MTP. So if you go back to some down into the channel, and you'll see us talking about massive transformative purpose, the things that really drives Kent, the things that really drive myself, and what now really drives Digitized is this ability to make global impact and empower people with their potential, with technology. And so as that unfolded, what was amazing is the amount of organizations that are wanting to run events in a similar way or wanting to be able to digitize their business has exponentially, like, frog leaped. So what we're going to be focusing on a lot for this show today is just talking about what you can do just based on what we've learned over the last several weeks. And, as Kent's been really driving the technology adoption piece, and then also a significant real-time digitization of a global community, not just a company or not just an event, but really the digitization of a global community. What are some things and thought starters, whether you are considering for your company and for your own events, if you're considering wanting to take something online, if you were more of a physical person, if you were more of physical events, and that your business is solely on in-person interactions, how are you able to actually transform that? What are some of the things that you could spark some interest in thinking about that you could do, and then what actions you could take? So we want to dig into some of that and just convert some things and have some backwards and forwards about that today, because there's a lot of learnings, and I would imagine over the next series of shows we'll be starting to break down a whole bunch of really cool things for you. And again, if you want to pick our brains, if you want to understand how to digitize your own business, then you can get in touch as well. And if there are questions that aren't answered on this particular show, I'm sure those will come in other shows later. But you can also please put your comments in the field below, subscribe, share with other people, because this is about to get crazy. It's like really insane what we've been learning and also what we've been able to produce. And so let's get into it, Ken.
Yeah,
Let's
so
get in.
I have something I want to do first today, and I'm literally, if you see me kind of, I try not to do this. Everybody knows I try to look all the way in the camera and smile and all that, but there's just so many things going on right now. I actually am trying to find a couple of things that I want to share with everybody here. So think of this, Kyle, as the first time that we're going to go to our viewers. And we're going to say, I'm just going to read you some of the comments that we've been getting in this particular case on the YouTube channel. And one just came in this morning, and it just made me, it made me really happy because it was one of the videos that we did, which was about how to add audio and how to add music into basically your live broadcast. In this case, I was focused on helping someone use Zoom. I recorded a video just to help somebody. That's the only reason I recorded that video. But it turns out that when you help one fitness instructor, fitness instructors seem to share a lot with each other, which I think is incredible. And that now has been shared many, many times. And so just this morning, one of our viewers, Silvio Barrelfine, said, I wanted to thank you. I was able to use a wireless mic and audio interface with the loop back that I purchased, and it was just fine. And the students could hear me and the music and dance well. Thanks for the advice and the tutorial on how to make it work. That sounds like the simplest thing in the world, but I just want you to know that's why we do this. See, we just helped someone. I have no idea who that is. I don't know where they are. I don't know them other than this one contact, and that just happened, right? So, for me, I think that pretty much sums it up. Of course, then you get the next version. That was great on a Mac. Is there any way to do this on a PC? The good news is, I think I found a way. The bad news is, I don't have another PC to test it on, and I'm not even about to mess with the ones that I have here in the studio. So one of these days, when I get an extra laptop or something laying around, I'll play with that, and I'll see if I can't make a video that works for that. And we have a lot of these. We have a lot of these now coming in the chat. So one person realized I have a little bit of an accent, and it comes out more the more bourbon I drink. But he realized, he thought he recognized it and wrote, and he goes, "Oh, you're from Kentucky. Me too. I knew there was something cool about you." So I'm taking that one. I like it. And it goes on and on. That's just two examples from many in the comments on our YouTube channel, Kyle.
Yeah, that's fantastic. We've been getting some things through our Instagram channel. We've been getting some, I know Kent and I have also been receiving some personal messages where people aren't necessarily into public forum, but the general gist is that we seem to be in the right direction in themes, content, and criteria, because people are saying, keep up the good work. This is very inspiring content. These are great tips, very thoughtful, very helpful. And I think as we start drilling in what's really good for yourselves as an audience, if you are wanting to figure out what is that technological shift that you need to make, what is that strategic shift that you need to make that allows you to show up in a digital environment more effectively, then this is the place for you. This is the show for you. This is the company for you, because we're able to really dig into that in real time. And as we'll get into today, we're digging into that in real time as well, because we have because we are putting ourselves on the front line every single day, experimenting, breaking things, fixing things, getting broken by things, and really figuring out how to shift there. So something just shifted with. Oh, I see. So Kent's, it was interesting on my side is that lots of things are.
We're learning more and more, but I'm doing this with a hands-off computer Stream Deck, and I'm able to change the shots like you just saw me do in real time without touching the keyboard or the mouse or the complicated stuff behind all this that we use to produce big shows. So, yeah, sorry about that, but there you go.
So let's dive into it.
Really
One of the
real.
things that we love to get into today, as as Kent is experimenting and playing here as well, is some of the learnings that we've been having. One of the things that we'd love one of the to play with is the different tiers of how you can get started, to the size and scope of where that can also go in terms of how you can digitize your business. So if you are, and we can start small and we can grow. So a lot of the things that are starting to come in as inbounds for us following. So you could say, I have a webinar that I'm trying to produce. I have a short seminar, like a multi-hour or multi-day, sorry, not multi-day, but just multi-hour seminar that I'm trying to deliver. I have an internal, event for my own organization or team where I'm looking to get super creative and do something interesting where I'm, really producing an experience, all the way up to multi is in one of the big learnings that we've had, because I'm not sure that everybody wants to produce a multi-day event straight out the gate. But I think there's some very important fundamentals that are critical for you to know in terms of getting yourself onboarded to be able to do this. So what we'd love to do is, give you a little bit of the experiences that have happened over the last week, and some things that we are realizing are some tools and tricks and methodologies for you to be able to go out and then really create powerful value. And I think one of the first things that we could get into, Kent, and just go a little deeper on is the infrastructure of the studio setup. So again, like, and some of this is in other videos that we've had, but what we've really learned, the basics for you to have around you in order to produce these kinds of effects, we could dig into that. What do you think, Kent?
Yeah, for sure we can. And we've been asked several times, and it comes in two different forms. The one form of how we get asked is, what do I need? I'm producing the content, so I need to stream out and speak and broadcast at some digital event. So what do I need? And that one, I think we can dig pretty deep on. Now, there's another side of this, is when it goes to the studio. Now, if you want to produce an event like we just did for EXO World, you're not going to do that with some, basic, what I call the digitized basics, off the shelf kit. You can't, right? Now, you can do some amazing things with just basic tools. And I think, Kyle, we should dig into that. Talking about
Basic
how,
tools.
yeah, talking about, well, that are meant to get people's quality up, their ability up, their
Mhm.
capabilities to deliver, sort of that one person show situation. And so they can get their message out to the world. That we can dig into super deep. Getting into how you produce a show like EXO World Live is I think also something we want to treat, but maybe probably a little out of scope for this show, given the time and
Mhm.
the format and the status and next shows being queued up, and I don't want to mess with certain things. So that's where I would be with that. We made a kit, Kyle, called Digitize
Mhm.
Just the Basics.
That's
I
right.
can put a little while why don't you talk about that kit a little bit? I'll
Mhm.
grab it and put the URL up here in the middle of us in just a second.
Great. So what Kent is referring to is that we've had, wow, I can't even count how many people have reached out to say, what are the basics that I need? How can I mimic at least some of the simple things? So you saw a previous shot that in my own office over here, which I often will jump between for those that feel comfortable with taking their green screen technology to the next level. So if you are using Zoom, I think Zoom's one of the only real platforms that's doing it where they've built in a green screen filter based on the processing power of your computer, and then also based on the upgrades of the Zoom platform that you're operating with. You can switch on a function just in case your kids are at home or you're in a messy environment, or some people actually are taking their laptop and their built-in camera and going to on the outdoors, and then you're able to put up this different zone. But what you'll notice on that is that there's a lot of patchiness and blockiness. If you move really quickly, you'll see that it's a bit fragmented. Some people like me with a very round dome, actually the ears will get cut off, with that sort of technology, it kind of crops in a little bit too much. If you're looking to really, really control your own green screen experience, meaning that it looks like if you go watch the Hollywood movies and you see somebody's in this very strange environment, but it really looks like they're in that environment. You want to be thinking about getting a piece of material behind you, a green screen behind you. So one of the pieces in the kit is we are big fans of a company called Elgato, and we can put that link down in the show notes, I'm
Yep.
sure. Elgato, but in the kit, what Ken's calling up here and putting up into the URL is a place you can go which have our best tips and tricks. It's what we mimicking and using. So the things that are very important here are having a very solid color of green that your camera can pick up. The second, of course, is the camera. Some of you are using your built-in cameras in your laptops. What we've opted to do, apart from having that as a second option, is to actually use something called a Logitech Brio, which is a 4K camera. That means high definition camera that plugs in just very simply USB. It's so simple, plug and play. The technology will automatically find its way to link into the platforms you use. What that does, it allows you different types of visual settings. Now, one thing's important to note with this is that when you're using not your laptop computer, your laptop camera, but you're using a camera outside of yourself. For the advanced folk, I know you've got this, and I'm sure there's next level stuff on this. For those that are in the basics and getting it together on this one, is that the resolution at which your camera picks you up is sometimes not always compatible with the resolution that which someone else on another side is actually viewing you at. So we'll go deeper on all of that stuff, but there's a resolution match. So the higher quality camera that you get, sometimes that actually shows up a little differently on the other side for someone else. For you, it actually allows you to deliver a great experience. Now, the other big thing for this is your lighting system. So which is getting the lighting right on the face, getting the lighting right on your background. And that's a whole program in itself that we can go into. And there's also tons of amazing content on the internet about that, but we'll talk specifically about works for our production capabilities. But having lighting systems is as well as important, because what you want to be able to do is create some depth between you and your green screen, which allows you to create a really good background experience. But it also wants, you want to be able to light yourself in a way that when the camera is picking you up and you are using a green screen type of technology, what's very important is that the lighting is good, so that the camera, because the camera is recording you at the same time, and you're doing something called chroma keying, which is actually keying out the color behind you so that you can put another background behind you, which allows you to be anywhere in the world. Really, you can go outside to the countryside, you can be in space, you could be in a fake studio. We'll do that one day just for kicks. We'll actually produce a set and put myself and Kent on there as if we were on like a major news channel.
Beach.
There's a whole bunch of cool that you can do. Sorry, what was that, Kent?
We'll go to the beach.
Yeah. Go to the beach. Yeah, we can go to the beach. It's pretty fun what you can do and what you can play with. But the biggest thing for us in this kit that we're showing you as well is just the basic setup. The other thing is that your audio quality is important. So what we've talked about here is how do you create the environment. That is often done with a green screen. And if you don't want to use green screen, that's fine. What we would highly recommend that you do is just curate a background that is complementary to the fact that people are going to pay attention to you. But there's also maybe something interesting in the background that can elevate your brand or elevate your own personality or elevate your style. So that, there's the camera allows you to pick up and record what you see. There's the green screen that allows yourself in environments. There's a lighting system that allows you to also adjust, am I in daytime, am I in nighttime, based on the background that I'm in, or do I just want good lighting so I'm delivering a great quality experience? And then there's audio. We use is a Blue Yeti microphone. That's a big fan favorite across many. There are others. We have a high level music studio here in my office. We've got a bunch of other microphones that are there for miking music equipment for very high end vocal pickup. I don't use those. Highly recommend, or Kent's recommendation is the Blue Yeti. It works perfectly, and it's almost an industry standard. So when you have those things in this kit, it's going to give you a list, and there's some other things in there as well.
Yeah,
There's
I can go over
a
it a
kit.
little bit if you like.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And within that, what that allows you to do is actually be super self-sufficient and get a head start if you're looking to create some similar things to what we are producing here on a daily basis, and that we also produce inside of the live event experiences that Digitize creates.
Yeah, and I could be brave, and in just a second I can try to actually bring the kit up and show it. But before I do that, I'm just gonna walk through it just a little bit. So Kyle's mentioned a bunch of these things, so I'm gonna go through pretty quick. Lights. I use the Corsair Elgato key lights. I love them. They are a little pricey, and in addition to that, I have a softbox light kit that I got off Amazon. It was really affordable, and that's what I use for my basic fill lights. One of the things people make a mistake on when they're doing this the first time is the they don't light their green screen properly separately from lighting themselves. Now I'll tell you, what I'm telling you right now is so basic. There are 100 YouTube videos. There are 1,000 YouTube videos that you can go watch that will get into this in minute detail. I will never do that show. So go learn from those as well. There's a world of information out there for you. Blue Yeti microphone. One of the funny things about these types of microphones, and you see this when you watch singers and things online, is when you do things like this, puh, it can make this really loud pop sound inside the microphone. So you'll want a pop filter. The one I've got is the Dragon Pad Studio microphone pop filter. We use the Brio. I love my AirPods. My new studio setup doesn't allow me to connect the AirPods and Bluetooth to run into the control room for this broadcast. So I'm using an older pair of Beats by Dre sports headphones that I like. I use the Corsair Elgato green screen. Behind me, it's mounted on the wall. It pulls down like a theater screen. The microphone, get it off your desk, because if you have it on your desk, sometimes as you type, you'll hear that click, 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 click going through the vibrations of your desk into the microphone. It does the Blue Yeti comes with an isolating stand, which is very nice and very heavy, so it doesn't easily knock over. However, I found that I needed to mount my microphone on a boom arm with a pop filter and what they call a shock mount, which basically hangs the microphone from a bunch of rubber bands. That way no vibration makes its way from the keyboard to the desk, up the boom, and into the microphone. It's a very simple thing, and it gives you your desk back. Those are the key things I use. Kyle, I'll see if I can pull the kit up and put it on there while you're taking us to the next spot.
Yeah, so one of the things here is that when you are, and what's interesting from a mobility perspective, those are some big effect pieces. And then for those of you that say, hey, well, Kyle and Kent and Digitize, this is all great, but I'm just a laptop and headphones person. This is one of the things that is amazing about mobility today, is that you could start a lot of this just with your laptop and your headphones. One of the things here is that if you and a Wi-Fi connection, there's a lot that you can do. You can keep those really basic, where you don't have to put backgrounds and experiences on, where you can just plug in your headphones. You have your built-in cameras. You can get onto a whole multitude of different platforms. We've been discussing a lot of those actually in previous shows, and we will go deeper on those because we're getting more and more requests about alternatives to Zoom, alternatives to physical venues, which is something that we're starting to do a lot more of. But then also, what are just alternative platforms where I can host events, where I can host gatherings. And now, of course, because there's such a fast learning curve, people are also out there looking for alternatives, which is, can you give us, your opinions on Skype? Can you give us your opinions on WebEx? Can you give us your opinions on GoToMeeting? Can you give us your opinions on a whole, on Crowdcast? There's a whole bunch of different things that you can use and go to host things. Or you could just, naturally use your phone calls, like, WhatsApp or or your Google Hangouts and things like that. So from a very basic perspective, there's a lot of ways that you can get started. And as you get into it, you'll notice that the natural inclination that we found is that you want to start curating you want to be able to start elevating your own look and feel. You want to start bringing more of a production quality. This is where this kit that Kent's going to show us, or put in the show notes, is going to come super, super in handy. Because if you've got any kind of fixed location, and it doesn't need to be a big space. The space here is a small space. Kent's space is larger because there's so much more production going on. I'm like a satellite version of that, because we just have to be able to mimic some things. And we've got a couple others on our team that also have some mimicking stations. And now that we've been onboarding more speakers and more presenters and MCs around the world who are going to be, continuing to help in these event-like experiences, and they want to start producing higher quality webinars, keynotes, session work, programmatic work, they're starting to get this kit. And this kit is going to really help you to elevate that experience. There is a learning curve. You want to factor in some time for that. It's not always going to work perfectly. But this is also why Digitized is here, why Kent and I are here, and why we'll be putting out as much free resource and free content to help you to minimize, to close the gap between where you are and where you want to be in terms of getting your experience out there. The biggest thing for us is, before you make considerable investments, although this kit is very affordable, there's a couple things in here where we've done the due diligence to try a bunch of things. And yes, one or two things are maybe a little premium in price, but the reason is that you get what you pay for in this particular case. If you want high quality, if you want a high that doesn't necessarily bond you, there is a little bit more of an investment. And that's for any other product in your life. So it's the same type of investment, but it pays off in the long run. It really does. The warranties are there. The quality and standard is there. And what it also allows you to do is, once you figured it out, that one time, and you get used to using it, it's just literally, you just turn on your studio and you can plug and play and you are ready to go. You start thinking about your company and you start thinking about your brand experience. So little micro details. We've just got a couple devices you'll see on this particular show. You'll have our, always ever present moving, cyber-like background. That is something that you can project. So not just static imagery, you can project, moving images as well. And then of course, your personal branding. One of the things that Kent and I get asked a lot about is that when we go into one-on-one meetings with clients or potential clients, or we're coaching or we're advising, our really great community, is that we'll put up a little logo just like we have up above me over here. And they go, where's the button for that in Zoom? Where's the button for that in GoToMeeting? Like,
Oh
how do
yeah,
you
this is a fun one.
how do you yeah, how do you get your branding on there? Like, how are you doing that thing with the thing? Like, where's the setting for that? And so this is, it's fun for us because of course it always helps us to know, oh wow, we're just a little bit ahead of the curve, which you always want to kind of be pushing yourself to do. Find your next level, find how you can take yourself to your next level. But for us, what's very interesting, and we're going to be coming back to this, and we have gone deep on other programs around this, is the difference between what certain formats like Zoom or Jitsi or Hopin or Google Hangouts, what was Skype, what that infrastructure, what that container, what that platform and program can do, and what it cannot do. And then how you can actually start to take this square that we're in over here and start to do a ton of really cool stuff inside of it. That is the opportunity. You can let your imagination go super wild because you can literally do anything. And I think that even Kent and I are just scratching the surface. I could imagine one of the next courses he and I will probably take, or something that we will dive into, is probably going to film school, or probably going to, like, go to some special effects seminar with Hollywood guys that produce these amazing experiences. Because I believe this, where virtual reality and augmented reality and reality are bridging, this is the next level. And of course, we all have to start somewhere. We're all figuring these things out. But I do believe that there's a long way that this can go, and there's a lot of impact that we can make, and actual experiential and branding experiences that we can make within this. But it starts with this kit. It starts with you just experimenting with some of these things, setting up this space, and having a go at it and starting to practice. Kent, thoughts?
Yeah, no, I want to go back to something you were saying. I think it's really important that we dig a little deeper here. One of the funniest things that happens is what I think of as confusion between sort of, let's call it studio and venue. And one of the other tips, don't ever look at your live broadcast wherever the endpoint is. It will totally mess with your head. I just did that. And it was like, oh my God. I was like, what? Why is he like, okay. Anyway, the, the difference between studio and venue. So a venue, let's talk about the physical, right? And map the physical to the digital, Kyle, and you can jump in here. So a physical venue that where you might run an event is a hotel. You rent the hotel. It comes with chairs. That's extra, usually, actually. Catering,
Everything's extra.
cameras, AV. It's all a la carte, right? So that's the venue. You don't actually expect the venue to hire your speakers, or for your venue to, bring in Frankly, sometimes they do have the AV team, but you get my point. The venue is the end point for the presentation. It's not the presentation. It's not the speaker. It's not the speaker's history and background and research, the slides they brought. It's just where the people come to see it. And it's a huge last mile piece. Pay a lot of attention to your venue. The funniest thing that happens is that a lot of people with these digital shows, these digital broadcasts like Digitized.live or exoworld.live, is people confuse the venue with the studio or the production. And they think, oh, well, there's a moving background behind Kyle and Kent. I'm watching this on YouTube. Where's the button on YouTube to put my moving background up there? Well, YouTube doesn't do this. Right now, you can watch the exact same stream that Kyle and I are doing right now on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and Twitch. Those are venues from my perspective. While you were talking, Kyle, I responded to comments on Facebook from some people we know in South Africa. Our friends, the Mann brothers, happened to see our live stream. Shane Mann from Man Made. So Shane, shout out to you if you're still watching. Thank you for the comment. And that just happened live in our Facebook venue. Now, this is the most exciting part, Kyle. Can you run a physical show in 4 venues at the same time with the same speaker?
Well, it's a hidden question for me because I know we can, but usually it's no, Ken.
No, and why?
Well, unless we're God, we're not omnipresent.
Yeah, you personally cannot be in 4 places at once. Now, yes, there could be a crew there in the venue that's filming you and rebroadcasting you to 3 other events where everybody's sitting there staring at a screen. Sure, why not? But that's kind of weird. It's called simulcasting, right? You're simulcasting the event. It's great, but this is different. Right now, Kyle, you and I are sitting in our studios. You're in one studio across town from me, in fact. I'm in my studio. We're present in these digital venues, Facebook, Twitch, YouTube, and Twitter via Periscope. However, we are also in the living rooms or dining rooms or offices of the people that are watching the show right now in whichever venue they choose, the one they like the best. This is pretty new. It's not brand new, but it's pretty new. What's brand new is the fact that the ability to do so, to leverage all of those venues and streams and cameras of people spread all over the world, because this can go both ways. We're going to start bringing guests on the show soon to show everyone that. But this can. The fact is that the ability to do all this has been. You're familiar with Kotler and Diamandis' 6Ds, right? So it's been dematerialized, it's been digitized, it's been demonetized, it's been decentralized. Okay? Wow. I'm doing this from my house. You show me where I could do that 5 years ago. That's what's new. That's the why. That's what's so exciting about all this.
It's super, super exciting. And I think that one of the forcing functions for many businesses right now, just building on that, is they are experiencing exactly that. They're experiencing a need to be able to pivot, which means that, well, here's the funny thing. Let's just take an old classic example that everybody should know. Well, all these classic examples. So when you have Blockbuster video that has a physical video, then you have Netflix that creates online streaming. It's the same thing. I want to watch my stuff. It's obviously not the same thing, but it is the same thing, meaning I want to get access to my movies and I want to be able to distribute my movies a lot. If you look at Airbnb inventory, if you look at Uber, I want to be able to get access to a cab, but I don't want to physically stand on a corner and hail a whole bunch of them and be rejected by some, connect to others. This particular way, I can actually see all of the ones that are available, and I can actually call one or bring one to me very directly. That's all digital. So when you think about your business, and the biggest thing of what we're trying to drive forward here is the digitization, is that we all have that digital twin, that twin from our physical self. Our businesses all have this digital capability in them. And what's happening now, that if you take all the physical elements out, which has been a forcing function over the last 6 to 8 or longer weeks, 10 weeks with this particular pandemic, the beautiful thing, could you imagine this maybe 3 or 4 years ago? It would be very, very hard on a lot of businesses, and it still is very, very hard on a lot of businesses. But the thing that I think that is a forcing function right now, and that people can try to start wrapping their heads around, is that there is an ability for you to actually find the digital version of your business. It just requires actually the mapping. And Ken brought this up earlier, is that one of the things that we offer and that we'll probably do on a show here soon is, we've created a mapping system that allows you to map yourself from your current state to your future state, meaning from my physical state and my analog state to my digital state. And how do I actually, and it takes thoughtfulness, it requires you to sit down and go, okay, like for Kent and I, we keynote all over the world to, huge audiences, to some of the largest brands and most ambitious and courageous brands on the planet, advising them on things. Of course, where Kent was really leading the charge on this one. And one of the ways that we met was that we met out in the world, in Mexico or some other country, delivering high value to a incredibly impactful company, an incredibly impactful client, thinking about where can they go next, how can they take themselves to the next level.
We
And what
met
we
in
realized was
we met in Mazatlan, Mexico, Kyle.
Mazatlan, Mexico. That's right, Mazatlan, Mexico. That was a great trip,
Mm.
and it was what was interesting there though is that you can still show up all around the world and, like Kent is saying, and present yourself digitally, but it requires somebody to accept that as a form of reality, and also to see the long-term value in it. One of the most deceiving things, as Kent was talking about with the 6Ds, when you get onto this digital curve, is it's very deceptive and deceiving. We look at it in current state and say, well, things might be a bit bitty, and how do I, and there's all these noises and there's all these wires and these things. Right now, the start of anything is usually a little clunky and funky. It always is. And if we're trying to look at it as the perfect solution that's only going to stay in this permanent state for the rest of our existence, this is the interesting thing about the physical world versus the digital world. Physical, when we hold up anything, if I hold up a mouse, if I hold up a water canister, we need it to work perfectly. We can't have it be faulty. You don't want to drink something and then the lid falls off or the bottle breaks. That's a bad product. In the digital world, however, there is a very different strategy, which is that you get something out, you test if it starts to work, and then you start to build on it. And what that requires you to do is be flexible with the current state of it, but also look to the potential of where it could go and allow your imagination to drive forward. This is at the heart of the work that Kent and I are doing. It's also at the heart of what is required for you to be able to tap into your own digital potential. Because when you do that, instead of looking at this today and saying, well, this doesn't seem right for me and I don't even know if I should get started and I will wait, rather start to learn real quick now about what the basics are. And when you do the basics of digitizing yourself and your business, you will suddenly find that you don't just have these intact environments that you go to with these intact groups of people that have paid physical tickets to show up collectively or synchronistically to one physical location. You can reach millions of human beings in one go, sitting in the comfort of your own home. And that just, it's a hard thing for people to wrap their heads around. They get it philosophically, but what they don't try to do is apply to, what does that mean to me? The biggest thing that Kent and I would advise you on is start thinking about, what does all this stuff mean to me? How can that actually create abundance, wealth, better health, better lifestyle, more impact? How can that actually start to generate that for me if I do make that shift? Kent, thoughts? I know you've got them.
Oh my God, too many. I think one of the most important things anybody can do right now. We're look, by some estimates we are 1/12. I don't want to put a big downer, but by some estimates we are 1/12 of the way through what this sort of COVID-19 pandemic is going to do to our society. So we really just don't know. I shared before that I think that our entire global society is going through the 5 stages of grief, and I think we're still in a mix of sort of denial, and we're entering into an anger stage. So
Mm.
the number one thing I think is to act. If you hear this and you think someone else is going to take care of it, nope, they're not going to do it. That's where you have to start from. So, and I think for being part of this new global society that we've been thrust into, it is going to be more digital. We will return to the physical. It will come back. We will weather this, and but it will take a lot of bravery, and it'll take a lot of exiting from your comfort zone, and it will take a lot of learning and research. I was really inspired by our co-producer at EXO World. Her name is Lena, Lena Anderson, and shout out to Lena there if you're watching today. Actually, she's not, because I know she's actually producing another event right now that's live right at the same time. But the thing is, I was inspired by her because as she was going through and helping co-produce EXO World, she was learning extremely fast. And she called me the day after, and she's like, "Okay, here's what I did. Here's what didn't work. What do I need to upgrade? What do I need to do? Do I need this? Do I need that? Da da da." And the advice I gave was, look, don't try to do it all at once. You can't. It took me years to get here to where I am right now, and to be able to manage an event like that and produce an event like that. So I said, buy these two things next. This is going to dramatically improve your capability to operate and do what you do. And you know, the passion and the excitement and the grabbing of opportunity is just really inspiring. And I think that's what we need to see in a record number of people. We're all entrepreneurs now. Something like projections or something like 70 million people are in the process of losing their jobs in various stages. And so new jobs will be created. I'm very, very clear on that. But they're going to be different. So you got to get your learning hat on and be ready to get to work. And be ready to reach out, watch shows, read, learn, test, experiment. Go with things like the lean or agile methodologies, build, measure, learn, and do it as fast as you can, as many times as you can. Don't be afraid of mistakes. Go, go, go. That is how you learn. You do not learn faster any other way.
Mm-hmm. Exactly right. You know, so Kent, with that, we've had a good long show today. We are coming up to time. So as an action and a thought, I would absolutely 100% follow Kent's advice. Test, learn. We'll get the digitized kit into the show notes and get that out in the comments over here so that you can have that and you can go click into that and you can see our recommendations to get you started, to get you up and running. And please look out for the next couple of shows that are coming. What we're going to start doing is going deep on breaking down some of these experiences that we've had from small scale, whether it's, you know, group coaching, European leaders in, you know, group coaching in 50s, or if it's running small events and webinars, all the way up to a 60-hour permanent streaming, 3,000 participant, 130 speaker event. There's so many places that you can go with this. There's so many really amazing possibilities, and we're just scratching the surface. So once again, it's been phenomenal to have all of the viewers watching us live. Thank you for tuning in from, what are they, Kent? Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, what else?
Facebook, YouTube, Periscope on Twitter, and
Periscope,
Twitch.
Twitter,
So the thing that
and
helps us the
Twitch.
most, Kyle, is to be able to get the word out. As you know,
Yeah.
we produce a lot of content these days, and we post almost every day in a lot of different mediums, with YouTube kind of being the hub at the moment. So give us
Mm-hmm.
a like, really give us a subscribe. The subscribes, what people don't know about things like YouTube is that you need to get to 1,000 subscribers if you want to monetize your channel, but that's not even the right aim. You need to get to 100 subscribers if you want to have a custom YouTube URL, so like /Digitized.live or something like that. So we're close. We're close, and so any of those types of things, and you know, wherever you watch us, like, subscribe, share. We're now live streaming many streams out, and I'm looking for more to add and more ways to do that all the time. So if there's a favorite channel we don't even know about that you spend time on, let us know. We picked those four. But yeah, that would be my request. And as a humble request for thanks to you, to the listener, back to us. is just to sort of like it, share it, subscribe it. We really do need that. You can see right here, here is our website, Digitized.live. It's fairly rudimentary right now. We've been thrust to this like everybody else. And so, yeah, visit our site, watch the show, share the show. And as always, Kyle, I'll just say last, thank you so much, my co-host, my partner, my coach in this. And I am just honored to do the show with you and to continue to build Digitized with you.
Absolutely. It's been fantastic. So, as we wrap up, just remember, somewhere inside of you, you have the most extraordinary potential that can be digitized and shared with the world. So, get digitized, unlock your digital potential. We thank you so much, and we will see you again live next week, Wednesday at 10 a.m. Please look at the channel. There'll be content coming every day. Stay safe, stay home-ish as the economy is getting back on track. And have a blast with this. Have a blast with it. Go out and experiment and take good care.
All right. Bye, everybody.